Hi, everyone. We're excited to be here today with author Anthony D'Agostino. He's the author of the book Prejudice, Racism, and Tribalism. How are you doing today, Anthony?
Doing well, thank you.
Great. It's great to have you here. Let's kick it off by learning a little bit about you. Can you tell us about yourself?
I'm a psychiatrist. I've been in practice for many years. I'm not sure the book has an awful lot to do with what with the profession per se, but I bring that to my interpretations of history, which is what the book's about.
That leads us perfectly into what I was going to ask next. Tell us about your book. What is it about? Other than what the title suggests, tell us about it.
Well, it's what the title suggests. It's a discussion of it's I label it as a primer for white people because I'm kind of concerned that white people seem to be buying a lot of guns these days. They seem to be banning books these days. They seem to be making a lot of decisions that I'm not sure they would make if they really thought about it. So I thought, well, it's time for a discussion. So it's a book that's aimed at white people, tries to address some of their concerns about what's going on in the world as it relates to issues of prejudice, racism, and tribalism. And in the book, I try to describe what I mean by these various terms. So I'm hoping that if knowledge is power, and if people feel empowered, they won't buy as many guns, maybe. I just don't understand it. I'm a gun owner myself, but I don't understand the fascination for the AR 15. It seems like people in Congress walk around with little sweaters with AR 15s on it. And that to me is not a good sign. It doesn't sound like good things are happening. It seems like we're planning on shooting one another. So the book is sort of another look at some of these tribal racism type issues, just to see if it's really necessary to do that.
Was there something specific in your life or that happened in the world that was kind of the catalyst to inspire you to write this?
Well, I've been kind of impressed with the degree of anger that white people have for one another. So I think that made me think that maybe we need to take another look at the issues that we're fighting about. I think the election of Donald Trump back in 2016 was probably the stimulus because I felt, well, this is not a good sign, and we're buying more and more guns. There's more and more mass shootings, so people are getting nervous. So I thought, and mostly white folks that are getting nervous. We're the ones buying most of the guns, and as far as I know, we're the only racial group that's banning books these days. So I thought, let's take another look at this, see if we really want to do that. So that was my inspiration.
So, what would you say would be your hope for what someone would take away from reading your book?
Well, my first hope is that people would come to the conclusion that they don't really need guns to solve this problem. That would be my first hope. I really don't think having a lot of guns is really the answer to this particular problem. If you buy a lot of guns, basically we're planning on shooting one another. So I think that's a bad idea. And I would think there's probably less to be afraid of than we think. I just think we need to sort of take perspective, look at this. For example, immigration. This is not the first time we've had this argument about immigration. If you look back in history, I think between 1924 and 1925, there was a 97% drop in immigration to the United States from Europe, mind you. So, we've had these feelings before. And I think we need to, revisit some of our concerns. The concerns we had back in 1920 and 21 are the exact same concerns we have today. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at that. I think the idea of racism, I think we need to take a look at that too. Now, what I try to do in the book is define what that is and why I think, racism doesn't really so much exist in people as it does in institutions. And again, it's difficult to explain in an interview what I mean by that, but if you, I try to outline what that is, and are there as many racists in the world as we seem to think? Racism is kind of a dirty word. It's a word we call people we don't like. So I try to make that word more neutral in terms of its emotional impact, to try to understand what that really is, and are white people all racists or what? I don't think so, but I have to explain what I mean by that, and it's difficult to do in an interview.
Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that we haven't touched base on that you would like to share with everyone before we wrap up?
No, I don't really think so. I just think it's time to take as neutral a look at these issues as we possibly can. Prejudice, racism, and tribalism, and take a look at what those words really mean. And really, do we really have to be afraid of discussing these kinds of things? I don't think so, but it seems like white people like myself and you perhaps, we seem to have a lot of trouble with that. So I thought, let's sit down and have a discussion. If we do that, I think we'll be in a better place.
I think so. Those are very tough topics that you're tackling. I wish you all the best. I hope that your book makes the impact that you're intending.
I hope so.
Thank
Thanks
you so
very much.
much.
Okay, bye.